Good morning, grade 4 students. Today we're going to be looking at how to divide with calculators. And the first thing I want to do is just go over a couple of the division terms, just reminding you what a dividend, divisor, and a quotient is, and then we'll get into looking at how to divide using our calculators. So if I look at this question here, I have 2,601 divided by 3 equals something. What term do we give this large number here, 2,601? Well, it is called, if you remember, a dividend. And so the dividend is often your largest number, the number that you have to divide. And then you divide by something, and that number that you divide by is called your divisor. And so that's the one that is kind of doing the dividing. It's taking your whole, which is the dividend, and then breaking it up. And then you have an answer. We're going to look at what that answer is in a second, but your answer is called the quotient. All right, so I just wanted to quickly review those terms with you. So I'm just going to erase that all for a second, and I'll get that back on here. All right, so the first question that we're going to look at is 2,601 divided by 3 equals. So we should be getting really good at doing long division now, but we haven't really looked at how to do this on a calculator. So how can I divide 2,601 divided by 3 using my calculator? Well, the first thing I have to do is punch in my dividend. And so the dividend is 2,601. And so on the calculator, I would click in 2,601. The second thing I would do is punch in the division sign. You can see it right here on the calculator. So 2,601 divided by, so I just click that. You can see it showed up here. And then lastly, I click input my divisor. There's 3. So now I have 2,601 divided by 3. And finally, for my answer, I hit the equal sign, and there we can see my answer, 867. And so the answer is 867. The quotient is 867. So that's pretty easy. Let's do another one. So if I want to clear my calculator, I can click this C here, kind of clears everything, or this button here. So the next one is 2,956. So divided by 4. So again, first my dividend, 2,956. Click my division sign, divided by. Now my divisor, 4 equals 739. So there's my quotient, 739. And the last question we have is 4,992 divided by 8. So again, 4,992 divided by 8, hit my equal sign, 624. All right, so you'll notice on these 3 examples that I gave you, there are no remainders. But we're going to look at how sometimes our calculator is going to give us a decimal number as a remainder. But we're going to see that that decimal doesn't really tell us what the remainder is, and so we're going to have to figure out how to calculate the remainder. So I'm going to show you a couple questions now that are a little more challenging to use with the calculator to understand what it is, because we have decimal numbers instead of remainders. And so we're going to have a look at that now. All right. So we're going to look at here how to find the remainder if you have a decimal. So I've got a couple example questions for us. So the first example here is 4,263 divided by 7. So we do the same thing with our calculator. We do 4,263 divided by 7 equals 609. And so again, here you'll see there is no decimal. We're done. That's easy. But what if we have a question like this, 5,475 divided by 9. here we have a bunch of decimals after. And so this one equals 608 decimal 3. And you can see that 3 just keeps going on and on and on. All right. So you can see that, again, that decimal in the calculator, 608 decimal 3. And that 3 just keeps going on and on and on, and it's a repeating decimal, and so it will actually go on forever. So how can I know what the remainder is? I can't write the answer as 608 remainder decimal 3. I can't do that. So because I can't do that, how can I figure out what the remainder is? Well, there's 2 steps that I need to do. So if you look up here, our first step, it says to multiply the quotient without the number after the decimal by the divisor. And so the number after the decimal is this decimal 3. So the first thing I have to do is multiply the quotient 608. So this is the number before. So I have to do 608, and I need to multiply that by the divisor. The divisor was 9. So 608 multiplied by 9. So let's see what that equals. I'll go back to my calculator here, and I'll clear it. So if I do 608, and I multiply 608 by 9, that equals 5,472. All right, so that's the first step. Multiply the quotient without the number after the decimal by the divisor. And then it says to subtract this product. So I have to subtract this number here from the dividend. Well, what was the dividend again? That was the big number here. So now I have to take this product here and subtract it from the dividend. Well, the dividend is 5,475, and I have to subtract 5,472. And so if I'm doing that, 5 minus 2 equals 3, and then 7 minus 7 is 0, 4 minus 4 is 0, 5 minus 5 is 0. So we're left with this 3 here. And so this 3 is actually the remainder. And so instead of writing the remainder decimal 3, and so on, we can write our actual quotient as 608 remainder 3. So it's important that we just follow those steps there. So step 1 was to multiply the quotient. That's what we did here. So this was step 1. We multiplied the quotient without the number after the decimal by the divisor 9. And then step 2 is here. And step 2 is subtract the product, which is here, from the dividend. And so that's how we can figure out what the remainder actually is instead of writing it as a decimal. So in the next video, we're going to do a couple of more examples of this. And I'm going to show you also how you can write the remainder as a decimal on your calculator also.